rain hammered the cobblestone streets of Verona as thunder rolled in the distance. Most shops had closed early, shutters flapping in the wind, but a flickering sign in crimson light caught Jonathan Harrow's eye. Madame Zora, reader of truths. He scoffed. Truths? A man like him didn't believe in such things. He believed in numbers, in data, in the comfort of wealth that insulated him from the real world. Still, something tugged at him. Maybe it was the wine from dinner, maybe it was boredom, or maybe, deep down, a man worth $500 million was finally admitting that something in his life was missing. He ducked inside. The scent of incense struck first, something ancient, smoky, like cedar mixed with secrets. A beaded curtain rattled as he passed through, revealing a woman seated behind a velvet-draped table. Her eyes, piercing, colorless, looked straight through him. "You've come," she said simply. He hesitated. "I was just curious." "No," she said. "You are desperate." He almost turned to leave, but those eyes, they froze him. There was no performance in them, no drama, only truth. "Sit." He sat. "I am a Madame Zora," she said, spreading an old, silken cloth and placing a deck of tarot cards on the table. "And your fortune does not belong to the future. It is now." Jonathan rolled his eyes. "Right. Well, go on. Tell me if I'll get richer." Madame Zora's lips curved slightly. She shuffled the cards with surprising elegance, letting them whisper secrets to her fingers. Then she drew 3 and laid them down. The first, the Tower. The second, the Fool. The third, the Hermit. She stared at the cards for a moment, then at Jonathan. "You're drowning in gold," she said, voice low. "But gold is heavy when you fall." He chuckled nervously. "Sounds poetic." She ignored him. "The Tower speaks of disaster, of something you built, falling. The Fool says you've ignored every warning sign. And the Hermit," she paused. "The Hermit warns that wisdom cannot be bought, and you are alone because of it." He frowned. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that wealth doesn't guarantee happiness or wisdom. You have the former. But the latter, that is what you lack, and because of it, you will lose everything." Jonathan laughed, louder than he meant to. "Lady, I'm not some tragic parable. I'm not about to fall off a cliff for lack of wisdom. I own 7 companies. My home's in Forbes. I am fine." Madame Zora leaned in, her voice a whisper. "That is the illusion you've bought. But I see what you fear. You know something is coming." That shook him more than he wanted to admit. "How?" he asked softly. She looked at him then with something between pity and sadness. "Because people like you only come here when they already know the answer." 3 weeks later. The first crack came quietly. His eldest son, Christopher, dropped out of business school, said he hated the world Jonathan built and wanted to teach art to children. Jonathan yelled, loudly, cruelly. His son left and didn't return his calls. Then the board of his 3rd largest company uncovered a scandal: embezzlement. His name wasn't directly involved, but the press didn't care. Stocks plummeted. Lawsuits emerged. His wife Elizabeth confronted him one morning. "You haven't looked at me in 5 years," she said, her voice shaking. "I stayed for the money, and now I don't want either." She left him that afternoon. Every day after that was like watching dominoes fall. Investors pulled out, partners vanished. His luxury home felt cavernous, empty. The silence screamed louder than any headline. And the worst part? He couldn't fix any of it. He tried. Oh, he tried. But money couldn't repair trust, couldn't bring his son home, couldn't force Elizabeth to love him, couldn't erase the feeling that something was fundamentally broken inside him. A month later, Jonathan stood in front of the same shop. Rain fell again, almost as if the sky remembered. The sign still flickered. The incense still burned. He stepped inside. Madame Zora was waiting. "I lost everything," he whispered. She nodded, as if this was no surprise. You warned me. I told you what you already knew, she corrected. I didn't listen. You couldn't. You believed wealth insulated you from pain. But pain, she tapped her chest. Pain doesn't knock. It seeps in. He sat down, quieter now, humbled. I thought I had it all. You had power, possessions, status, but not love, not joy, not peace. Jonathan ran a hand through his hair, eyes wet. What do I do now? She didn't reach for the cards this time. She simply looked at him gently. Begin again, but this time chase something real. 6 months later, Jonathan Harrow wasn't on magazine covers anymore. He'd sold his companies, given up the house in Italy, even sold the yacht. He moved to a small town in Maine, bought a humble cottage by the sea, and started teaching business ethics at a community college. He called his son every Sunday. Sometimes Chris answered, sometimes he didn't. But when he did, they laughed more than they fought. Elizabeth hadn't come back, but they'd had coffee. That was a beginning. And every month, Jonathan sent a check to Madame Zora's shop, unsigned, with a simple note. Thank you for the warning, because for the first time in his life, Jonathan Harrow was learning what wisdom really meant, not in money, not in power, but in peace, in humility, and in the truth that happiness was never something you owned, it was something you earned. Let me know if you want a more dramatic twist or to expand it into a series.